All right, welcome. Good morning. Happy Friday. We are finishing out a week of core practices since we had the opportunity to have a fifth week in September. Of course, we're already in October, but next week we'll begin the standing practice cycle. So we're going to start as we always do, seated, and taking a moment to just arrange yourself so that you can really create as much support along your spine as you can find. And oftentimes that requires elevating your sitting bones a little bit. Also taking a moment to move the flesh out from underneath the sitting bones and just creating as stable of a base to the seated pose as you can. So cross-legged is usually the position, but if you need to modify that, you always can. And just take a moment to press down somewhere to help your shoulders align back. So finding your shoulders above your hips and moving your shoulder blades in toward your chest, creating a sense of support there. Lengthening all the way up through the top of the head. And releasing the knees down, the thighs down, just kind of drawing the sitting bones deep into the floor. And then keeping all of that, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Close your eyes and look away from the brain. Usually when we wake up, the mind is very active. And so taking some time to settle the mind, to become embodied, to align with presence. And the quickest kind of portals to presence are breath observation, attention to input that your senses bring in. And just bringing some awareness right now to the area about 2 inches above your navel. This is the third chakra, Manipura chakra, which is really the seat of our personal power. And so just noticing a few things. First of all, is there movement when you breathe? And reminding yourself there's no wrong answers. When we make inquiry, we're not looking for a certain outcome. We're just kind of becoming more investigative, more objective. Next, is there temperature? Can you feel a sense of warmth there? Maybe it's kind of dull and cool. Maybe you don't feel a temperature. Is there any color that you're seeing when you envision this area of your body? Is there any sensation? And with all of that information, take a moment to bow towards your heart, where our own inner teachers reside. Let your hands move onto your thighs. And on an in-breath, raise your head. Let your eyes gently come open. And welcome. So we're going to kind of start to stimulate that third chakra area. We're going to do Kapalabhati, which is skull shining breath, but it's really a kind of a forceful exhalation. So one prop that we don't always use in yoga, but today I'm going to invite you to grab one, is a Kleenex. If you have any kind of, I don't know, lately I've had a runny nose, so I've been blowing my nose a lot, but this is a forceful exhale through the nose. So if you sense you need to kind of clear the nostrils, feel free to get up and grab Kleenex and just kind of blow your nose quickly. But we are going to be taking this breathing pattern for 15 repetitions. We're going to do it 2 rounds, and it's very stimulating to the digestive fire in the body, to this area of the body. It's going to help us bring awareness there. It's also going to bring our energy level up a little bit. So you can sit comfortably as you are. If you're doing a cross-legged, you might just take a moment to switch the crossing of the legs so that we're just kind of creating more balance in the body that way. And we're going to bring awareness to the core, to the center body, with just a hand over the abdomen, right above the navel. And just a couple times, you're going to breathe out forcefully through your nostrils. And see if you can kind of get a sense of the navel snapping back toward the spine when you take those exhalations. You'll notice also you don't have to kind of consciously breathe in. Your body remembers to breathe between those out breaths. So it's a passive inhale. Forceful exhale, passive inhale, and I want you to create the rhythm that's comfortable for you. If anytime you work with breath work and it becomes agitating or disruptive or the breathing doesn't feel right, just stop and sit and just notice and be with your easy breath. So we're going to begin as we're ready. Hand over the navel, hand right above the navel, I should say. Take a nice deep breath in, let it go. When you feel ready, you're going to do 15 repetitions. After that 15th repetition, just kind of sit, palms face up, hands resting on your knees or thighs. Close your eyes, take a couple moments just to notice any effects. When you feel ready, you can begin again. Deep breath in, deep breath out to prepare. And again, when you finish the 15th rep, you can just sit quietly, eyes closed, sitting up tall. Easy breathing, noticing any effects, physical, noticing any effects to your breath, to your energy. Good. Go ahead and open the eyes. We're going to do another pose that I don't usually teach, just because most of the time I think it's silly, but it does really have some benefits to the digestive system. It's lion pose, where we stick out our tongues, we lift our eyes up, we cross our eyes, and we breathe out forcefully with a loud sound with the mouth open. And usually it's taught in hero pose. So if you're able to sit in hero pose, you can do that. Otherwise, keep your comfortable seated position that you currently have. And if you take hero pose, but your sitting bones kind of float in the air, tuck something under your sitting bones, like a block or a blanket, so that you're supported to your sitting bones. Okay, so if you're sitting cross-legged, you'll have to modify the hand position, but if you're in hero pose, it's kind of, you can kind of think about your hands like big lion paws. You're just kind of placing them on your thighs with the shoulders back. What we're going to be doing is all at once, we're going to be exhaling, sticking the tongue out, looking up toward the brow line and crossing the eyes as we forcefully exhale. So let's take a deep breath in. On the exhale, stick the tongue out. Resuming an easy gaze, a couple easy breaths. We're going to do it 3 times in a row. With your hands forward, make sure your shoulders are back, your chest stays forward, that you're not kind of collapsing your chest here. Think about a proud lion, sit up tall. Let's do another big in-breath. Exhale, sticking the tongue out. Deep exhalation. Easy breaths, couple cycles here just to kind of resume the smooth breathing pattern. We'll be doing one more cycle in a moment. Okay, nice breath in, nice breath out. When you're ready, wonderful. All right, we're going to find our way onto our backs. We're going to take Prasarita Padasana to really locate the engagement of the core, but to also kind of see here how it affects the lower back. So you can come onto your back. I don't usually recommend any height under the head for this one, just because we want to really feel the earth aligning the back body. We don't want to kind of distort the neck at all. So bring the head directly onto the ground, and you're going to start with your knees bent, reaching the arms overhead, and just extending the arms as fully as you can. Try to anchor the arms, try to straighten the elbows, and reach out through the fingernails. So energetically reach out there, and you want to really feel engaged with the upper body. And we're going to lift the legs from the floor one at a time, and then extend the legs. And just right now, with your legs pretty much at a 90-degree angle, feel how the lower back is in really nice contact with the floor. Really a lot of surface area. So our goal is to keep that. And on Monday, I taught this differently. I think today we're going to go a different route. I want you to kind of determine when you need to bring the legs back to where you are right now. On Monday, we went all the way to the floor. So from here, on an exhale, you're going to start to move the legs toward the floor, but you're observing your lower back, and you're attempting to keep that contact. And as you feel the core muscles engaged, a lot of times we feel the belly pushing out. See if there's a way you can bring the belly toward the back body to keep that nice surface area going. And when you feel like you're kind of disintegrating the wise actions in the body, bend the knees and draw the legs back in. And let gravity just kind of drop your thighs toward your chest and soften your abdomen for a couple breaths. We're going to do this just a couple more times. When you're ready, extend your legs again. Acknowledge the contact you have, the lower back against the floor. Try to spread the abdominals toward the back body and start the move, initiate the move on an exhalation with your awareness really fully on your lower back. Keeping that surface area. And when you feel like things are going to start to pull away or wise actions are breaking down, then bend the knees and pull the legs back in and take a couple breaths just to recover and to soften the abdominals. So I oftentimes talk about the abdomen like the underside of an umbrella. A lot of times when we engage the core, the belly pushes forward and it's not supportive to the back. We want to create scaffolding for the lower back with the abdominals. So spread the belly this last attempt. Think about spreading the belly toward the back. As you're ready, extend the legs. Moving on an exhalation, start to move the legs toward the floor. And rather than pushing into the abdomen, try to keep the abdominals working toward the floor. And when you reach that kind of peak for yourself, then bend the knees. This time, hug the legs in with your arms, hands over the shins or behind the thighs. Just a couple breaths. So oftentimes in core practices, we include deep twists, and this also further stimulates the digestive organs. And so we're going to come into supine twist from here, taking our feet to the floor, stretching the arms out to the side so they're perpendicular from the torso. And then we'll place the right leg over the left leg. So you're going to cross your legs and then lift your hips high enough. You can slide the left hip to the middle of the mat and let the right hip come above that. Let your legs fall to the left. Use your left hand over your right leg just to kind of keep the legs where they've arrived. And then roll your head to look down the long right arm side so that you're in a complete twist from the tailbone to the brainstem. And the more you can kind of access a heaviness, a passivity in your legs, the deeper the spinal twist will go. So just kind of bring awareness to the legs. Sometimes there's a rigidity. The legs don't want to fully move to the floor. Sometimes there's a tension between the legs. And sometimes it's along the exposed side, in this case, the right side body. So just bringing some ease, some length, some expansion, some heaviness. And as you feel that the abdomen wants to kind of cascade to the left, you're creating some counter movement in your body, rotating the abdomen from left to the right. Think about the right side ribs gently moving back to the floor. When we come into deep twists, we want to be very careful when we leave them because we've moved the spine. So I want you to use your abdominals as you find your way back to the center. So engage the core, support your back that way, and rearrange yourself on your mat so your legs uncross and you're recentered on your back body. Sweep the arms back out wide, and then we'll cross the left leg over the right. And we'll slide the right hip to the center, the left hip above, and let the legs just drop to the right. Right hand to the left knee or thigh. Your head is going to roll to the left. And you'll notice it takes your body a few moments to settle here. There's a sort of kind of stiffness or resistance. You'll just become more soft and passive, and notice how the spine responds by becoming more supple. And then moving the flesh of the torso from right to left. A couple more deep breaths. Okay, so a big takeaway with core practice is how much support we can lend our backs, especially the lower back, by using the core muscles. And we're going to kind of experience that in several ways today. So one experience of that is as you leave this twist, use your stomach muscles to help your back, to help yourself back onto your back. And then once you're there, just take a moment to rearrange yourself so that you are even. Pick up your hips, draw them away from your shoulders, make sure your shoulders have come down evenly. We're going to come into cat-cow bridge here, which will give our core a little bit of a moment to release the contraction that we've just kind of repeated over and over again. So walk your heels in towards your sitting bones and align your toes in front of your heels. So toe in for most of us, so that your toes are directly in front of the heels. And then you're going to keep your arms pressing down at your sides. And right now I want you to exhale and close any space between your lower back and the floor that you can. So we're in that posterior pelvic tilt, also known as cat tilt. Good. On an inhale, you're going to arch your back and now kind of exaggerate a big gap between your back and the floor. The first few here, we're going to come into just cat-cow. We won't add the bridge yet. Exhale, go back to contracting the navel, pressing the back against the floor. You might even tilt your chin toward your chest for that complete spinal action. Inhale, arching your back, creating space between you and the floor, and even moving the chin away from the chest. Do a couple more with your own breath guiding you. Exhaling, we contract. Inhale, we're expanding the front body and arching the back. And when you inhale and arch the back, that's a great opportunity to stretch out those stomach muscles. We want to keep the strength, but we don't want to lose the length. We don't want to be distorted and kind of rounded in our backs and shortened in our core. So do one more here, exhale. And on your inhale, just be a little passive. You don't have to do a full arch. So this time we're going to do cat-cow bridge, but we're going to kind of connect the cat and the bridge together. So as you're ready, you're going to do half of your exhale, kind of coming into half of a cat, but then save the next half of the exhale and press yourself up to bridge pose. Lift your hips. At the top of that bridge pose, inhale and make the belly big. Come into a higher bridge pose. Good, and then exhale, walk your spine down slowly, one vertebra at a time. You'll inhale at the bottom there, just being restful, passive. When you're ready to exhale, half is that cat pose, the second half is the bridge pose, lift your hips. At the top of the bridge, take an inhale. Inflating or lifting that bridge. Good, exhale, walk it down, try to traction the spine, bring length along the spine. When the sacrum is resting, be passive. Take a nice easy breath in. Exhale, cat pose into bridge pose. Holding for the inhale. Walk it down on the exhale. And just pause at the bottom for the inhale. Let's do a couple more on our own. Exhale, cat into bridge. Inhale, hold it there. Exhale down. Last one. Good. When you get to the bottom, lift your legs once again. Keep the knees bent, stretch your arms wide. And we're just going to do a modified belly turning pose before we come off of our back. So on the exhale, move your knees directly to the left and then pull up to the shoulder line. And then move down and back over. So you're moving in an L shape or kind of a semicircle. Other side, right? And pull up. So try not to pull directly to the shoulder line. It's a little bit of a safer movement pattern when we move straight over and then up. Try to move to the sides on your exhalations and use this movement pattern to gently massage your lower back. And we'll finish one more. When you come back to center, you can lower your feet and then help yourself to either side. And we're going to come into a hands and knees table position. We're going to come into cat-cow version of sunbird. So we did cat and cow with the spine already, but we're going to include sunbird. What I want to point out is when we extend the leg back, what can happen if we're not engaging the core is we're hanging dead weight from the lower back. So I want you to feel the abdomen supporting the back so that we're not hanging dead weight from our lower backs. This is a back saver move. So as you're ready from table pose, big breath in, and on your exhale, you're going to cat pose, bring your right knee to your forehead, so rounded spine. On your inhale, reach the leg back, open your chest. Good. Do it again. Exhale, round your spine, cat tilt. And on this movement, you can really bring the navel into the spine. Inhale, reach the leg back. Support the back body with your core. Last time here, hug the knee in. And inhale, stretch it back and hold it there. Your toes point down. Your stomach is underside of an umbrella toward your back body. And at the last moment, extend your left arm. And try to create the sensation that your whole front body is resting on a tabletop. So equalize the effects of gravity by moving the front body into the back body for support. Keep streaming lines of energy through the left fingertips and the right heel, which also creates support. Keep the neckline neutral. And your breath might be a little higher octane, so be a big enough container for your breath. Good, place your hand, place your knee. We'll do the second side and then we'll take a nice rest in child's pose. So big inhale here. Exhale, squeezing left knee to the forehead. Inhale, stretch the leg back and use your core muscles to support the weight of the leg. Again, exhale, hug it in. Inhale, reach it back. One more time. This time when you reach it back, just hold it there. Lifting your stomach toward your back, spreading it. Reaching the right arm out. And creating that sensation that you have full support to the front body with your own efforts, of course. Long neckline, your gaze is straight down. You're energetically reaching out through the left heel, right fingernails. And your breath is nice and deep. Place your hand, place your knee, and then step your knees wide, swing your feet together, and sit back for child's pose. And if your forehead needs more support, if the floor is a little too far away, stack up your hands or your fists and use your hands or fists as a little platform for your forehead. Okay, let's slide onto our front sides and rotate the thighs in. So what I mean is try to center your thighs so the inner thighs are moving toward the ceiling and your outer thighs are moving down to the floor. Another way to kind of feel that is all 10 toes are evenly on the floor. You don't have your small toes flying toward the ceiling. We're going to come into Sphinx Pose starting with the palms up. So your elbows are under the shoulders. And you're going to kind of drag the elbows toward the hips to help you move the shoulder blades in. And you're going to also take the posterior pelvic tilt. So you're going to kind of take the tip of the tailbone toward the floor. Bring enough weight into your elbows that you're not sinking into your shoulders, that you actually have a neck. And then keep what's going on across the chest and the upper arms and revolve the wrists so your palms are down. So palms are down. Good. And take a few deep inhales to, again, recover length to the abdominals. And it's really healthy for the spine to actually have the pressure of the stomach against the floor. It's really healthy for the spine. So let your belly push against the floor. And then on an exhale, you might see about extending your arms completely, scrubbing the mat with the hands, extending the arms, but without the shoulders pulling forward. And shine the inner elbows up toward the ceiling. Keep the inner thighs lifting. Keep your tailbone moving into the floor. And keep stretching and lengthening the abdominals. On an exhale, release that extended sphinx if you did go up off the forearm. And we're going to slide the hands back so the fingertips are near the floating ribs, those lowest ribs. And you're going to pin the elbows in toward your side body. Curl your toes under. On an exhalation, bring yourself into Adho Mukha Svanasana, which is downward facing dog. Pull the hips back. Keep your knees a little bit bent. Keep your heels high off the floor and look toward your belly button. And as you look toward your belly button, you're going to bring your navel toward your spine. We're gathering, we're corseting the abdominals. So once you kind of sense that you've brought the navel in, you're corseting the abdominals, see if you can keep that and inhale, glide forward to a plank position. Keep the tailbone curling toward the floor. Good. Take the knees to the floor, wide, feet together, sit back for child's pose, and take a rest. Again, your forehead can be propped if the floor is too far away. Good, let's slide on to the front side again. This time preparing for Cobra Pose, so just a little bit deeper than Sphinx Pose. So put your hands back again near the floating ribs so that you see your forearms are pretty much vertically aligned. Your elbows are on top of your wrists. And then squeeze the elbows in so they're only as wide as your shoulders. Turn the tailbone toward the floor. Sometimes it feels like it's turning toward the ceiling. Point the tip of the tailbone toward the floor. Drive the small toes down. And on an exhale, pressing into the floor, lifting your chest. Here, you're very likely to want to kind of blast into the abdomen. So keep the abdomen drawing toward the back body. Exhale, release. Keep the hands where they are. Curl the toes under. And when you're ready, on an exhalation, draw the hips back. You're back in downward facing dog. Soft knees, heels lifted. Find your navel with your eyes. Notice how that helps you bring the navel in. Keep it there. Look forward, and on an inhale, plank position. So keep the stomach lifting toward the back. Keep the tailbone moving toward the floor. Wonderful. Draw your hips back and step forward till you're in a resting Uttanasana. So standing forward bend with arms like empty coat sleeves. Your knees might have to bend here. Keep your feet hip distance. And if your head or neck feels kind of stiff or unwilling to let go, try to shake your head a little bit. You might also just kind of play with weird movement. You might circle your chin or do a slow nodding yes motion. But try to get the neck to give up tension. Just a couple more breaths hanging here. Your knees might have to bend, but if you're able to straighten your legs as much as you can. Good. And now bend your knees, grab hold of your hips. Use your stomach muscles to help you come up. Big back saver right there. Good. Come all the way up. And just take a moment to pause and stand in mountain pose. So if you can join your legs and feet, do that. If you need to keep hip distance between your feet for stability, you're going to do that. Lift your shoulders, squeeze them up to your ears. Good. Move the shoulders back in space and then put the shoulders down. So it's like you're putting your shoulder blades away in your back pockets. I'm going to tilt my camera up so I have a little bit more of a head here. Okay. And try to align your thumbs with the centers of your thighs. Try to adjust the skull so that it's directly above the spine. So for most of us, that means we have to move the whole head back in space. Compress your buttocks toward your front body. And then compress your front thighs toward the back thighs. Keep dropping the shoulders, planting your feet, and lifting through the crown of the head. Keep the legs firm, the kneecaps lifted, the quadriceps engaged. And stand in a way that gives the diaphragm as much space as possible. So think about the distance between the lowest ribs and the pelvis. And with these wise actions of mountain pose, make that space nice and ample. And you don't have to work for breath when we hold the diaphragm open. We naturally breathe deeper, fuller breaths that make us feel better. Good. Okay, now open the eyes and shake free of those efforts of mountain pose. You might shake your legs out. We're going to play a little bit with Warrior 3. Again, this is where we potentially hang dead weight from the lower back if we're not engaging the core. So we're going to use the core to really feel how that supports us. But then we're going to add a sunbird arm so that we can kind of copycat what we did in table pose. So I'm going to have you grab your 2 blocks. And keep your feet separated hip distance. Yeah, you can face the short end of the mat and we'll just be working left and right, actually right and left. So come forward, lengthen forward, and place your hands on your block so that your wrists are underneath your shoulders. Your legs are vertical. And always, I find it helpful to notice just when we're not engaging wise actions, what the tendencies are. So obviously gravity has us kind of spilling into the front body here. So we have to do some proactive, preemptive scooping of the front body, gathering the inner front ribs together and toward the back body, and look forward here. So you're in kind of a half standing forward bend, an Ardha Uttanasana. Now without wise actions, if you raise the right leg, so don't engage the core and don't find any energy with reaching out through the foot. Just sense how it's dangling dead weight from your back. Okay, it's good to sense what happens when we're not employing the wise actions. So go ahead and lower the foot now. Preemptively engage your core muscles, scoop them toward the back body, underside of an umbrella. And on an exhale, extend your right leg back. Keep your lower back level and really reach out through the ball mounds of the right foot and through the heel so that you're not dangling the dead weight or it has nowhere to go. You're streaming the energy line through the right heel. Keep looking forward and hopefully you feel zero on your low back. You're not feeling any nagging. Good, lower the right leg. Take a little pause here. If you need to kind of come into a resting Uttanasana, you can. Otherwise, you can just kind of relieve the efforts of Ardha Uttanasana for a moment. We'll do second side. So as you're ready, look forward. Lift your stomach toward your back, spread the stomach toward the back. On an exhale, raise the left leg without rotating the pelvis, without lifting the left pelvis up. And reach out through the left foot. Keep the legs straight. We want to feel absolutely nothing on the lower back. Breathe. Good. Lower the leg. And again, you can just kind of be more passive here. You could do a full dangling resting Uttanasana because we are going to repeat it. And like I said, we're going to add that sunbird arm. So come back into Ardha Uttanasana. Lift your stomach, look forward, extend your legs as fully as you can. Big breath in. And on your exhale, extend the right leg back. Try to keep the heel in line with the hip. Sometimes the leg swings wide or narrow. So try to keep your heel in line with your hip. And once you feel that you're ready for it, you're going to extend the opposing arm side. So the left side, in this case, extend that left arm. Streaming energy through left fingertips, right foot, lifting your front body to your back body. All these efforts equalizing the pose, creating more stability and balance. Keep gathering those stomach muscles. Beautiful. Place the hand and lower the foot and find a resting position just for a couple breaths. Okay, preparing for left side, our last attempt here, this warrior 3/sunbird. Okay, so scooping the stomach muscles toward the back body, look forward, big in-breath. On your exhale, raise the left leg without disturbing or rotating the pelvis. Try to bring the leg level with the floor. And when you're ready for it, extending the right arm side. Breathe. Keep that right shoulder rooted into the torso. Don't let it follow the fingertips. Wonderful. Place the hand, gently lower the leg. Don't ever drop the leg. Keep the integrity of the pose until you've come out of it. And then one last time, resting Uttanasana, so you can move the blocks away and either do your empty coat sleeve arms or you might grab your opposite elbows. Go ahead and drop your hands if you're grabbing elbows, bend your knees, And when you come up, use your stomach muscles to give the back utmost support. Good. Take a moment if you need it. We're going to be setting up for modified side plank, Vashi Stasana. So when you're ready, you can spread a blanket out if your knees need the padding. You can put a blanket in the center of the mat. And you can just start by kneeling. You may want to have a block handy. You won't know yet if you need it. But just keep your block to the right side of the mat, just in case you want to add it in. Now, side plank is interesting because we're equalizing the abdominals. We're sideways in the gravity field, so we have to bring one side toward the other side. So it's helping us kind of articulate the oblique abdominals, the side abdominals. And we're going to come in from kind of a gate position. So I'm going to have you guys step your right foot off to the side and then extend the right leg. And I lied to you. Start with your left leg because we're going down on the right. So left leg is coming out to the side. And what you want to see is that your left heel and your right knee are in the same line. You want to see that your left kneecap is looking up. And even if your left toes don't come all the way to the floor, we're kind of directing them that way. So I oftentimes say in yoga, even if it's not actually happening, if it's happening in your mind, your imagination, or your effort, that counts. That's perfect. So extend the toes toward the floor. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is see if we can bring our right hand to the floor. And for some of us, you're going to need a block, and I don't recommend a tall block because that's a little wobbly. So I recommend a low or medium height block if you want to raise the floor. Okay? So first, just take a moment with your left hand on your left hip. And notice how this pose requires us to revolve the right side waist out of the shadows. Okay, so revolve the right side waist toward the left side waist. And it also requires us to lift the right side body toward the left side body, because otherwise we have gravity pressing us down. And with your hand on your hip here, roll the left shoulder back, which will help you bring that right side waist around. Okay? Now from here, extend the top arm up. Create space between your shoulders, which means one arm is rooting, one arm is rising. And then revolve the left arm so your left palm faces right. And lastly, extend the left arm alongside the ear or even behind the ear. Keep lifting right side body toward left side body. So of course this is modified. In the full version we have that knee out from under us, both legs extended. So if you want to do that, if your body is ready for that, you could go ahead and extend that right leg. Go ahead and take your knee back to the floor if you did extend. Go ahead and take your left hand back to your hip. And I want you to help yourself turn to face the floor. And you're going to separate the knees and sit back for Child's Pose. And as you feel ready, you can come up and prepare for the second side. If you found that block was helpful, you'll just move it over to the left. We're going to start from kneeling. This time we'll be extending the right leg out to the side. And again, you're just looking for that right heel to line up with your left knee. Awesome. We're going to be bringing the left hand to the floor or to the block, but the placement is so that the wrist aligns with the shoulder. Right hand on your hip. And just take a few moments to revolve the left side waist away from the floor toward the right side waist and to roll that top shoulder back. And then stack the arm, take the top arm up, Revolve the arm, right palm faces left, so a full revolution, as deep as that arm can go, and then the biceps in next to, alongside, or behind the ear. Keep equalizing, lift left side body toward right. And you might extend that left leg, that's really your call. We're going to be adding a piece to this in a moment. So if you did extend the left leg, go ahead and return the knee to the floor. We're all going to take that top arm back to the hip, and you're going to gently turn to face the floor to come out of it. Separate the knees and take a child's pose. Make sure the forehead comes down. Use your hands, the fist, or the floor, or maybe even a block. But we want the forehead in contact, which is immediate signal to the nervous system to become quiet. Okay, side plank, but we're going to be just kind of adding a piece. So you're going to come back to kneeling. And again, that block might be useful, so I have a block ready if you need one. Okay, so right hand's going down, left leg is extending. Just put yourself in alignment. We essentially want to see left heel, right knee, right wrist, all in one line. And do those starting pieces. Revolve the right abdomen toward the left. Revolve the top shoulder back. Stack the top arm. This time we're going to leave it vertically aligning. Now I want you to engage your stomach muscles. And on an exhale, attempt to lift the leg. Good. Extend through the heel. Don't have a limp, I like to say a dead fish hanging off the ankle. Extend through the heel. Lines of energy give us a lot of support. So if we don't create them, we dangle from the midsection, from the back. Good. Bring the stomach toward the back. You guys are doing great. So it's like a kneeling version of Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon. Good. Hand to the hip. Keep the extension through the heel, lower the leg. Don't ever drop your leg. Good, kneel and turn into child's pose. So it's just a little safer transition than trying to come up and out of it, because these are big poses. Rest your forehead. Couple of breaths. Okay. Last side. This class flew by, and usually with core work, that doesn't happen. So something happened. Hopefully it's flown by for you too. But for me, it definitely has. I just looked at the clock and had a shock. So we're going to set up the second side. If you need a block there, you're going to put one there. We're extending the right leg. You can go ahead and just kind of create that starting position. And prepare. You're rolling the left sideways to the right. You're rolling the right top shoulder back. Eventually, once you have that, you'll stack the arm, create space between the shoulders. And we're not going to lift the leg until we have the core recruited. So go ahead and gather, corset the stomach muscles toward the back body, like it's wrapping around your spine, giving utmost support. And then only lift on an exhalation, lift the leg. Equalize, bring the left side body toward the right. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Reach out through the ball mounds. Even spread your toes if it gives you more energy. Good. Try to pin that left shoulder blade toward the chest. Keep bringing the side waist around. Wonderful. Hand back to the hip. Keep the leg really extended and energetic. Lower it. And now turn last time into child's pose. Sit back and rest the forehead. As you're ready, you'll find your way into seated. Have your strap available. And clear your mat. We're going to do a couple boat poses. So one thing about boat pose is the thighs and the torso should kind of have similar angles. Okay, so when you're in that pose, you want to think about that today. If your thighs and your torso are at similar angles, we don't want the torso close to the floor and the thighs vertical. Similarly, we don't want the thighs horizontal and the torso upright. So just kind of think about the letter V, how letter V doesn't, it sits on that fulcrum. Fulcrum is the sitting bones. So first, go ahead and find your sitting bones. Hold your hands behind your thighs. Roll your shoulders back. And now knit the stomach muscles together. We've all seen particle board. Think about your stomach muscles like particle board. There's a support in that kind of interlocking connection. Shoulders back, chest is lifted. Lift your pelvic floor too. A little contraction we all know how to do. Lift your pelvic floor. Lift through the top of the head. Now keep your left leg like it's set in cement. Extend your arms out level with the floor so you can't see your shoulders. Squeeze your right thigh toward your chest and then extend the right leg. Again, we're hanging weight potentially from the back. So what do? Bring those core muscles toward your back. Take your eyes slightly up, which will keep your spine lighter. Shaking is normal. Good, bend the knee, touch down, bring your weight forward, bow your head. And if you find that the 2 feet down version is better for you, for your body, you're gonna keep both feet down and just keep holding it and working with that. So second side, second leg lift. Slide your hands behind your thighs, angle back, but be on your sitting bones, not your tailbone. Shoulder blades push toward the chest, shoulders move back. Really setting the right foot deeply into the floor. Extend your arms so the shoulders don't show up in your peripheral vision. Squeeze the left thigh toward the chest on the exhale. Keep the thigh there, try to extend the leg. Looking up. Gather the stomach muscles back. And don't do so at the cost of your breath. So you have to contract the core without pinching off the breath. Lift the pelvic floor. Good. Bend the knee, touch down, lean forward, bow, just rest. Okay, final version with the strap. An open strap, and we're going to hold the bottoms of the feet somewhere between the ball mounds and the heel. And a couple things about holding the strap. Try to slide back until your elbows are sitting under your shoulders. So we don't want to be reaching for the strap and collapse the chest and round the back. So sliding back until your elbows are under your shoulders. Wrap your hands if that saves your grip a little bit. Wrap your hands once, wrap your knuckles. And then angle back, feet still on the floor. Lift your pelvic floor, spread your chest. Look slightly up. Lift the heels from the floor and squeeze the thighs toward your body. On an exhale, try to extend your legs, but make sure the muscles are gathering back, the stomach muscles, that they're not pushing out. Don't have to fully straighten the legs. Reach out through the ball mounds, the heels. Spread the abdominals back. Breathe. Good. And now bend the knees. Heels touch down. You can move the strap aside. Walk the feet out a little bit. And just one last time, bow toward your legs. So I want to give our abdominals a big amount of space before Shavasana. So from your lying down position, you're going to raise your hips and slide a block under your lower back. So we're going to have a supported bridge pose. I'm going to tilt the camera down a little bit now. And to make this pose a little quieter, you can have your shins vertical, so you don't need to walk the heels way in, and take your feet a little wider. With the feet wider, we have more width across the abdominals and across the sacral band. Rest your arms so that your palms face up. And don't let your arms go as wide as they could. If the wrists are kind of closer together, it brings a sense of broadness to the chest and shoulders. Tilt your chin toward your chest. And now the rest of this pose is letting the pose work on you. So release all effort. Let your breath be free. And drop a deep tap root out of the sacrum into the block, into the floor. That invites the abdominals to descend. And just bring awareness back to the area 2 inches above your navel. Noticing movement, temperature, color, sensation. Maybe picturing a glowing, warm, yellow orb. And with each inhale, the orb swells bigger. And with each exhale, it shrinks a little smaller. We're going to try to transition very quietly by lifting the hips, sliding the block away, and then extending the legs one by one. Unfolding the arms so your armpits are open, your arms aren't touching your torso. Letting your feet flop out to the sides. And just feeling the weight of your body sinking into the floor. How the rooted back body supports a lightness of the front body, a softness. Think about the belly sinking toward the pelvis like a hammock. Resting in whatever remains. This practice is about removing obstacles in the body, blockages, things we're holding on to or carrying that we no longer need to. Feeling a sense of personal control that comes from within, that does not have anything to do with external circumstances. And let your next few breaths become more expansive, inviting more breath in than you previously were, and also releasing more breath out. And when the time is right, resuming your easiest breath flow. Start to bend your knees and your elbows. Help yourself to either side of your body. And from side lying position, you'll gently bring yourself up to seated. And from seated, join the hands in front of the heart, drop the shoulders, try to sit up tall. And with the eyes closed, pointing the gaze away from the brain toward the heart. And just spending a couple moments acknowledging the effects of your practice. Maybe inviting a sense of gratitude. And let's take a deep breath in together as a group. And let it go. From the place within me that I know to be divine, I honor that place within each of you. Namaste. Right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. It was really fun to have Rebecca and your sister and your dad here today. Thank you for joining us, and everybody else as well. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys soon.